Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Before we get started, in the description below you will see a list of the products I used, all the dimensions. You'll also find a link to my online store if you'd like to purchase some of this Stampin' Up! Product and don't have a demonstrator. I would love to be yours. There's also my email address, so if you'd like to send me an email if you have any questions or concerns or want to see something made, please do so. Finally, there is a link to my Facebook group. We'd love to have you there. That is a place where you can get updates when I post them, and you can also post your pictures and your projects of things that are inspired by watching me. And I think that's all the housekeeping notes we need to do. So let's move on. Celebration is still going on till February 28th. So remember to get your order in early so you can get the free product before they start running out. I have not heard of anything running out as of yet, but that could happen at any moment. So please keep that in mind. We are going to be using two celebration items today. I'm going to move this out of the way. Also, if you need a catalog, please drop me an email and we will work something out. We are going to be using Scenic Garden, which is in the small book. I guess I should have left the book out. And you will find that under Host at the very back of the book. And how you earn this stamp set is by having a party of $300 or spending $300. Whatever it is, as long as your total adds up to $300, you will automatically get this Host set. The other set we're going to be using out of the catalog is Beautifully Happy, and we're going to use the sentiment and this small flower from here on the project. So like I said, if you need a catalog or want to see something out of this or the mini, just let me know. So let's move on to the project and let me show you what we're making. Get those out of the way. We are making a very nice little card. Very simple card. And we are going to work on this and the thing there for the pot. All of this is done with our watercolor pencils and a blender, and I will show you how to do this. This is really, it's not complicated and it's really quite quick. So let's move on. First, we're going to do some stamping. Get some of the items we need out of here. This is my Shimmer White for later. So what we have, this is Gorgeous Grape. It's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2 on the side. That's our base of our card. I've already pre-cut, this is our envelope. I've already pre-cut a couple pieces. The first one that I cut out of, these are the Deckled dies, and this is the second and third one from the largest. So the second one from the largest, I cut a purple, or Highland Heather I should say, out of that one, and I cut one out of basic white for the inside of the card. Now the picture itself will be cut by the third one in, and we will do that after we've stamped and colored that. So let's get stamping. We'll set that aside for a moment and do the inside. And let me grab something here. And we'll grab our stamps. And I'm going to be using Evening Evergreen and Gorgeous Grape. And as usual, I need to grab my glasses. I hadn't put them on yet. That's always good if I put them on, you know. So our sentiment on our card is going to be sending happy thoughts. Turn this the right way. Sort of line that up in the middle there. Sending happy thoughts. I'm going to try something. I've been playing around with the camera. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try to move this in a little bit. Okay, let's see how I do. I have repositioned lights, and I'm going to leave that open for a few minutes because we're going to use that again. So then we're going to take this flower and we're going to stamp this in Evening Evergreen right down here in the corner, like that. And while we've got the Evening Evergreen out, we're going to grab our envelope, make sure it's the right way. And stamp that one. Now we're done with the Evening Evergreen. And then the inside of the flower is going to go in here. And I'll make sure I'm looking so I know which way I'm going after before I stamp it up. Get the ink on it. And I want to get this back over here so you guys can see it. Just like that. Very simple. And then we'll do this one. Oop, I didn't get that one turned right. I'm lining up the flowers and the center. If it's off a little bit, it's off a little bit, but it still looks really cool. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'll set those over there to clean later. And that's that stamping. Now the next stamping we do, setting these out of my way here, we need to get the Stamparatus. Now I've already pre-mounted these onto my Stamparatus. So as you can see, I have to back up here a minute here, so hang on. Oop, other way. So you can see what I'm doing. I have already pre-mounted all of these stamps on here when I placed it, when I did the original one. So I left them on there so I didn't have to reposition. So what you do is you figure out where you want your card to go. And I am using Whisper White paper, Shimmer White paper. You could use basic if you want. You just have to be a little more careful when you're blending your colors so you don't get peeling. But I like to use the shimmer when I'm doing this technique. And I've actually placed my very sloppy marks here. Oop, and I need my magnets, so hang on, flip them this way. And as many of you know, you don't want to clink these together because they can break. And this is just, I just took some duct tape and put around them so I have some handles. Because if they land on my desk is steel case and it will stick to my desk. Which is actually really nice because it goes right through the Stamparatus. And this is just a piece of grid paper that I've cut, or you can buy some that's already pre-done especially for the Stamparatus. I've got one there and one here because I don't want it moving. And then I have this here. And yep, that's in the right spot. So we're not going to be doing this whole thing, so we're going to be cutting this out. But that's where I want that to go. And we are using Stazon because we are using the watercolor pencils. And the Stazon is a cloth versus a foam pad. So you can do a little twisting to get the color into where you want it. And you just go all over it again. And the reason I'm using the Stamparatus is I found that I had to go over this a couple times to get the depth I wanted. Now, yes, you're saying, what is she doing with a tennis ball? This is just an old ring off from painter's tape. I'm using the tennis ball to press firmly into my paper. It's easier on my hands. I know they have come out with ones you can buy, but I've used a tennis ball for years and it works really well for me. And so I just set it in there and it doesn't go anywhere. So as you can see, we didn't quite get the coverage we wanted on this. So last time I think it took me about 3 to get the coverage I wanted. And where you see, you can see where it's at. And I will try to zoom this back in when I'm coloring so you can see what I'm doing. So we'll just rub a little more. You notice I've got my finger sort of stuck in between here because I don't want this to rock off the edges and possibly get the edges, the shadowing from the end of the edge of, I should say, edge of the stamp. Oh, I think that looks pretty good. I think we'll leave it just like that. Okay, so I'm going to take this plate off now. Let's turn around and set it behind me. Remember that you cannot wash these with regular cleaner. You have to use Stazon cleaner because this is a permanent ink. Now this one here is the hollyhock bush, and it's going to come right in here. Now I don't want my hollyhock bush to extend past this. So what I have here is Post-it. And I am actually lining this Post-it up with the end of that leg right there and putting it in. I also have a kitten here. So that way I don't stamp down further. And we're going to ink this up. And this is the one I was getting the shadowing on when I first tried this. So I know I have to be more careful right around this edge here. I'm going to wipe a little off, but I need to be careful. That's why I'm sort of sitting my finger in here like this and holding this so I don't get and press too hard and rock onto that. But that's how you stop it, is just by putting your finger in. Just, you can see how I've got it. It's just sort of tucked in there. Doesn't hurt anything, or your finger. I think one more time will do it. Oh, it looks good. Now, I'll take that away, so we have nice even. Next is my walkway. Now, I actually ended up having to move my paper to get my walkway where I wanted it. And I'm going to move this. I gotta set something underneath here so I don't get ink all over my desk. I move this over 2 squares. This is what's nice about the grid paper under here. And I'm moving these up here away from the rocks. And let's make sure I got that right. Yep, I do. So you just have to place this and, you know, look through it. And what's nice is you can lay this out. I really don't need to do this side. You can lay this out and mass produce cards using this. You have 4 sides, and depending on how you're stamping it, you could actually have multiple things in one go. Oh, I think we got that on the first try. So let's get this out of our way. Close this. And set this over here out of the way as well, and clean it in a little bit with the appropriate stuff. Okay, now it is time to color. You want to make sure you leave your Stazon good and closed because it is a solvent-based ink. And you want to make sure you also don't get it on your clothes. But it serves its purpose. So here is what we're going to be coloring. And let me see if I can zoom this in. Just a second here. I'm going to put a piece of paper down. Yeah, it's like that. And we are using the pencils, and we're actually only using 5 colors. We're using Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, Early Espresso, Gorgeous Grape, and Basic Gray. So these come from both sets of pencils. I've mentioned this before. If your pencils don't have big tags on them, like this one here. I had one of the original sets that came out, did not have the writing here. So instead of trying to guess what color everybody was every time, I just labeled them. So, and this is a blender pen. Oop, let me get this in here. We're closer. I got to get used to this. It's the blender pen, and there's 3 in a package. This is old packaging. They all do the same thing. I call them the magic brushes because they just blend everything so beautifully. So let's get this colored. Oh, yeah, I think we're good. What I'm going to do here, also keep my head out of here, is I'm basically just going in on the bench with the Early Espresso. And I'm just doing a little, trying to stay inside the lines, putting down a little color. Like I said, this is not rocket science. Turn your paper whenever you need to, and this whole bench is going to be colored in. It says I'm leaving it as a solid bench. You could put it as slats if you wanted. And then this piece here gets colored, and this piece, and this arm over here. And then I'm going to come down each of these rungs of the back of this. And I know it looks a hot mess now. And I'm going to go ahead and lay my basic gray down. And we're just doing some gray scribbling in the rocks here. Okay, now some people, you could color everything you wanted, then blend it all. I like to do like 2 colors, then blend, and so, but you can do whatever you want. Make sure, always make sure you go over some scratch paper to make sure that it is clean before you start. There is 2 ends, they're exactly the same. So I'm just blending in really lightly, going over and blending that color out. And see if that's looking pretty good on. I know I don't really have to go to the end, but I'm not sure exactly where it's going to end up, so we'll just do that. And just do like this, and then we're going to come back and do brown for the bench. And you just basically blending and moving that watercolor out. And you could do this with your alcohols, you could do this with your markers, you could do this with anything you wanted. Like I said, it doesn't. And I want a little darker here, so I'm just using some of the stuff here, putting it on my brush and moving it a little bit. And we'll come in here and do these fine areas. And the arm. I know when I'm coloring, I get quiet. Concentrating. Like I said, these pens are like magic. There is a fluid, some kind of fluid in there that allows it to blend. It may just be water, I don't know. Okay, now we got to come back and do the rungs. So, like I said, you turn the paper so it works for you, as I'm doing here. Yeah, let's see if I pick up some more ink. I may have to pencil. I may have to go in here. Oh, that's good. So that's what we have so far. Nice brown bench. Okay. So next, we're going to come in and make purple and yellow hollyhocks. More purple than yellow. And I'm just going in here and adding purple. I'm just scribbling. new little grape. And we'll come over here and put a few purple ones over here. Putting a little purple up here, but we probably won't even blend that. And then we'll come in here with some yellow and do these smaller ones. But this set is quite beautiful. I've seen some beautiful cards that some people have made with this. So if you go out to Google or to YouTube, you know, Pinterest, you're going to find lots of different ideas for this particular card. I come back in with a little purple right here. Yeah, sometimes you find where you want to color different, a little more color there when you get going. And that looks pretty good for now. So I'm going to start with my yellow. And I'm just basically going over where I went and make sure it blended out a little bit. Like I said, you can make your color, you know, everything, whatever color you want. Okay, that's the yellow. Next, we're going to use Granny Apple Green. You can use other colors. I wanted to use the bright cherry green, and then Granny Apple Greens fit the bill on this one. Now, I'm going to say, how are we going to do all this? I am not staying inside the lines. I'm just adding, going up the stalk a little bit. I am not staying inside the lines. This is a watercolor. Maybe we're going to do a little on the grass, just run up the stalks. You don't have to be real precise. Just laying down some color in here. Getting a little on the grass areas. Of course, not going over where I already... Oh, it doesn't look like I blended that very well over here. That's one thing. If you miss something and you're going, you can come back and just fix it up real fast. Got some stalks here. Yeah, put a little stalk there. I think I'm going to come back and actually put a little more purple right in here. Okay. And we just need a little more green right in here. That's one thing, beauty of this is you can come back and add some more and get some more detail if you need. So now I'm going to take the blending brush again, and I'm just going to touch, just basically really lightly. I'm not getting too precise. It's like a watercolor painting. It's real gentle. Try not to go back over the color I already put down. Just going alongside of it. Just to add. You know, a whole bunch. You're going to have a lot of green back there that you may not see. So it doesn't have to be where you can see every piece. Oop, I missed a spot. Maybe a little bit right in here. And if you want a little more, you can, I do it this way usually. If you want a little more green in one area, just take the blending brush right to the tip. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off camera. I got to get used to moving this in. Like that. So I want a little bit more right in this area here, a little more definition. You can do that. I'm just going to add a little, whatever's left on the brush, just dotting a little bit up there. Oop, I missed a couple yellow. We'll go back and do those right now. So clean that off. I missed right here. Make sure that's clean. There. That is our very simple coloring. It's not, it shouldn't be complicated. And it's a watercolor, so it works for me. So let me move this camera back out. Oop, the other way. I will get the hang of this moving in and out in a few days, I'm sure. So we're going to grab the third one in, which is this one here, and we're going to die cut that. Love these Deckled dies. So we need the big shot for this. And we're going to line this all up in here. Like I said, I was going to cut a few of those off and sort of move that up a little bit. And I am going to grab a couple Post-its because I don't want this sliding after I did all the coloring. The machine. Set these over here for some future use. And let's assemble our card. Okay. I'll put the inside in first. Like I said, this is an easy one to mass produce, even though you are coloring, because you could stamp them all up and then go sit in front of the TV with your watercolor pencils and start coloring. So this one has a nice big border going clear around it, but it's got that beautiful deckled edge. This one is the Highland Heather. And we're going to center, and it's going to have a big margin around there, about close to a ½ inch, I'm thinking, but that's okay. That's what I wanted. Now we'll take our picture here, and we're going to pop it up on some dimensionals. Oop. And I'm going to use a few because I don't want this sagging on its way in the mail. Don't forget about putting something in the middle, because if you don't, they'll sag when you go through the postal system. And I love this shimmer paper because it does add a nice shimmer to the project without doing any extra work. Like I said, nice big margins, but try to get it as centered as you can. Don't press down until you're sure you got it where you want. Then I looked at this and I thought, ribbon, bows, what would look nice on this? And I decided we're going back to the brass butterflies. I love the brass butterflies. Any outdoor scene, they look good on. So I'm going to use the big one. And I'm going to put the big one right about there. This one, I think this little guy's going to be heading for that flower right there. And we're going to put this one right about here. And let me zoom. No, actually, I'll just hold it up this time. That is our beautiful, very simple card. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and ring the little bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.